In this unit, we're going to be looking at lesson plan development. Lesson plans are about the planning process that a teacher goes through to plan a lesson. There are many considerations that need to be addressed in order to plan an interactive and effective lesson. Now let's look at some of these considerations. The first one is context. The context of teaching environment is very important. Even if a teacher has prepared a fantastic interactive lesson, learning still might not take place effectively. The learner has to be switched on mentally and display psychological attention to the lesson for effective learning to take place. Awareness needs to be shown by the learners and the teacher for an effective learning process to occur. The next consideration is an interactive environment. One of the most effective teaching tips is to include the learners in the learning process. The theory of learn by doing, teaching learners skills and not just knowledge. Learners learn best through practice. Practical sessions should not be lengthy or content driven, but rather shorter and often. The best way to get learners to remember or understand something is to practice and do it often. Thirdly, you need to consider the structure of your approach. Learners' attention span is limited, and their capacity to retain information is limited as well. Therefore, you need to be selective in the information that you choose for each lesson. Make sure that you are paying attention to the ordering. Your lessons must flow in a logical sequence. Remember, learners will remember and recall information you teach in the order that you teach it. The last element to consider is less is more. It is important that teachers do not transfer their own stress about completing the curriculum onto their teaching. Often when teachers are under pressure, they resort to a chalk and talk method of teaching, which is the least effective method. Learners do not respond well to content-dense lessons, and learners might not retain as much information. Now let's look at the actual development of a lesson plan. And this is the structure or the template that you will fill in to plan each of your lessons. And now there are also some considerations to look at and elements that need to be included. Firstly, you need to have the purpose of the lesson. And this includes the aims, goals, and objectives, the actual purpose of the lesson, and what you want to achieve. This is taken from the actual curriculum and should include knowledge, skills, values, and attitudes. And the second element is literacy skills, and I actually want to group these two together because the literacy skills that you are hoping to pass on to the learners should be included in the purpose of your lesson. Thirdly, you need to look at your teaching methodologies. The structure of the lesson and how the lesson is actually going to be taught is the most important part of a lesson plan. And this should include how the teacher is planning to teach the knowledge, skills, values, and attitudes. And this should be written in such a way that anyone else could pick up your lesson plan and see how to teach the lesson. Fourthly, we need to look at how to assess. Teachers need either an informal or a formal assessment method to determine whether teaching and learning was effective in the lesson. This may be done in the form of homework, a couple of questions asked, a quiz, or any other method that may help the teacher to determine whether the learners understand the content and can carry out the skills taught. Number 5, you need to look at differentiation. In every class, there are going to be a couple of learners that grasp the concepts and skills quicker than others. These learners need to be kept busy so that they do not become a behavioral problem or become bored and lose interest. These extension activities and processes need to be determined. There are also learners that take longer to grasp the concepts or acquire the skill of the lesson and may need additional support. Lastly, you need to look at reflection. And reflection should be done after the lesson. This allows teachers to make notes on what did not work and how it could possibly be changed to avoid making the same mistakes when repeating the lesson or similar lessons. This should just be a couple of rough notes rather than a long time consuming process. Now, your lesson plan involves quite a lot of information, but don't feel intimidated by it because quite a lot of it you can get from the CAPS documents. You can get things such as time allocations, the actual specific skills that you would like the learners to learn, and how to develop these skills over time. They give you assessment exemplars, lists of recommended resources, and a grade and a phase overview to help you plan your literacy goals.